If you've stumbled upon this video, it is by no accident that you're watching it now. That which is greater than this world is calling you, seeking you the way it sought me. It broke me free from a prison I didn't even know I was in. A challenging circumstance in my life brought me to my knees. When on my knees, face down on the floor, praying, an extraordinary presence came upon me. One like I've never experienced before. When I say like I've never experienced before, it's coming from someone who traveled the world in a relentless pursuit of spirituality, who was baptized in the Ganges River in India and catapulted by Lord Shiva into an entirely different spiritual realm. Someone who's taken ayahuasca with the shamans of Peru and worked as a light worker in the power points of the earth grid in the ancient Mayan world and Sedona. This presence, this experience, that day when I was praying, was exceedingly more powerful and omniscient than all of my wild and intense spiritual experiences combined. More potent than all the spiritual guides, gods, and deities I experienced in 20 years of spiritual seeking. Other spirits, gods, and deities I had encountered knew things about me. But when this spirit descended upon me on that fateful day, it knew me. Everything inside of myself was completely exposed. My body shook and trembled in its presence, and I knew that it was God. How else could such a potent, divine presence know me so intimately? Perhaps you've had a moment when you've gazed deeply into a partner's eyes, feeling vulnerable and utterly exposed. This experience is similar to that, but was amplified 50-fold. The presence of God's Spirit within and all around me, all at once. In that encounter, the Spirit of God pulled back the veil, pulled the wool from my eyes, exposing the underbelly of this world, teaching me about divine laws and principles that govern the earth, things I had no idea about. God even told me that I was a wanted felon in the spirit world for how many spiritual laws I was breaking. I was shocked, confused, bewildered. How could a spiritually devout person like myself be breaking spiritual laws? God showed me that by breaking those laws, it had a negative effect on my body and also on the clients I was trying to help in my healing arts practice. When God answered my call through a series of supernatural encounters, I wholeheartedly dedicated my life to serving the Creator I discovered. And as God unveiled hidden truths to me, He gave me my first assignment. I was to write a book detailing the extraordinary encounters that I had with God. I am now tasked with sharing that book with you. This book is titled God Without Limits: Escape from the Matrix of Lies. By the sheer power of God's presence, the matrix of lies I was living in was exposed. This book parallels my story of what happened when the appearance of God crumbled my house of certainty, broke arrogance and pride, and uprooted the faulty foundations my life was resting on. That moment of my life unleashed a greater humility than I ever dared to embrace prior. At the time, myself and someone dear to me were hearing two distinctly different voices of God as our sources of divine guidance. The opposing messages from God caused a fracture in our relationship. So, in great humility and grief, I asked perhaps the most important question of my life: who is God? Do people have different gods? I had certainly worshipped many gods and deities in my life. Lord Shiva, Babaji, Horus, Ganesha, to name a few. What I really wanted to know, in my sudden, unexpected hunger for truth, was, who is our creator? Did an omnipotent being create us all? Who's in charge of this realm and this earth? That very question is what brought my self-constructed house of certainty crumbling down. All my firmly held assertions and assumptions I clung to fell to the wayside when God rocked my world. Every faulty foundation my life rested upon, shaken, dismantled by the holiest presence imaginable. The sincerity of my question, my longing to know the truth about God, was the catalyst for the series of supernatural encounters that I had with God. That day marked the beginning of ongoing, intense spiritual encounters with God, in which I was slowly disentangled from the matrix of lies and given a freedom I didn't even know I had to gain. The way I'd been living my life had prevented me from having the intimacy with God that I had longed for my entire life. My second encounter with God consisted of 2 consecutive earthquakes, 5 hours apart. It was in that encounter that God's voice spoke to me and told me to write my book, God Without Limits: Escape from the Matrix of Lies. As I spent time with God and began to submit my will and my life to the revelations unfolding before me, I experienced miraculous healing from chronic health problems that had plagued me for many years. I had endured the hardship of neurological Lyme disease, debilitating nerve pain, joint pain, and extreme food allergies. There were times when my abdomen would swell so bad that I couldn't even eat. But in a matter of a month, it was gone. All my symptoms were gone. And the miracles didn't end there. I had 3 cavities that were miraculously healed. I even experienced gold dust manifestations. And when I prayed for others, they too experienced healing. I was awestruck. I could have easily spent months trying to help them heal with energy healing techniques. But some got healed in one short prayer. Not because of me, but because the Spirit of God began to dwell in me. If you have been endlessly seeking in spiritual practices like Buddhism, yoga, Reiki healing, following gurus, following Shiva, doing chakra healing and meditation, Vipassana, and other paths, I'm here to tell you there's something more. Something that couldn't be found in all the spiritual teachings I was studying. The remedy for my persistent health issues could not be found in all the healing modalities and natural medicine that I studied. The answer to all of my life's most challenging conundrums could only be found in one genuine, unobstructed encounter with the Creator of this world. If you want answers, if you need healing, if you feel broken beyond repair, this book is for you. And all of my spiritual endeavors, deep meditations, even astral travel, I witnessed and experienced remarkable realms and other dimensions. Before my encounters with God of all creation, Lord Shiva came to me in a vision, opened my third eye, taught me how to use the Sri Yantra as a gateway between dimensions, and transported me into an entirely different dimension. I thought where I was taken was the very foundation of creation itself. But when I began communing with the Spirit of Truth, I was taken up into an entirely different celestial realm of brilliant, indescribable light. I found myself in the presence of celestial beings, angels, in a realm of unimaginable holiness. Upon arriving in a higher dimension than I had ever traversed, I realized, much to my surprise, I had been trapped in the upper rooms of a lower realm. I hadn't realized there was a hierarchy of realms, and had mistakenly thought that the upper rooms of the lower realm were something much higher than they actually were. I would have completely missed out on my chance to enter into an exquisite realm of heavenly beauty and humility and surrender to God. In my book, I will share how a veil between the celestial realm and the earth was torn, creating a dimensional doorway now accessible to us, where we can enter and encounter our Creator. By clicking on the link in the description, you can get a PDF or paperback version of this story. This narrative was authored under the influence and inspiration of the Spirit of God, and it carries a unique message for every reader that it reaches. My name is Griffen-Moss, and my book is God Without Limits: Escape from the Matrix of Lies. You can find more videos like this on my social media channels in the description below. Thanks for listening.